All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, Mega ZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting podcast episode. That being my ZardCast episode 109. Now, I feel like it's been a week, and I felt like a lot of stuff has been kind of going down. I'm kind of looking at the list of all of my different topics I'm going to be going through and talking through tonight, but I don't think it's nothing super crazy or anything out there. I feel like we've been kind of in a little bit of a lull period though, so this probably won't be a super long episode as I'm already looking over here. I don't have my good buddy Steven at least here on the call. I don't know what the man's up to though, but he may pop in here at some other later point. I do not know, but we will have to wait and see up on that though. But in terms of just like a quick little spill of all the topics I have to go through and talk about tonight, we got to talk about the Indie World Showcase. They did manage to showcase off a decent amount of games. Not a crazy amount of games though, but just some. There's one I would consider as like a personal highlight, and then there was like one other one I think a lot of people have been kind of blowing up about. I was like, okay. Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Starcross World managed to get at least another good trailer for, just like an overview trailer for some of the upcoming stuff that's going to be associated within that game. So we got to talk about that just real quick. Sony did manage to put out some new updated fiscal numbers. So I wanted to go through those numbers, and they always have some interesting statistics, at least when you go through and look at like the physical digital split. So I want to go through talk about that. Apparently there's like a new Hello Mario app and some wooden amiibo. Okay. Sakurai did give a little bit of a spill, a little tease of Kirby Air Riders. So maybe we'll get some stuff here lately. And then lastly, we're gonna end the night off with some Pokemon Legends ZA gameplay roundup stuff, because apparently, people have been kind of itching to get a little more information. And it's not until like the Pokemon Worlds competition stuff is going down currently right now, where people are able to actually play live demos of this game, where we finally managed to get at least some more interesting news on the game outside of the little poor information that we managed to get from that very most recent Pokemon Presents presentation though. So yeah, that's the spill of all the different topics for tonight though. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that pop culture segment. All right, now this is where I normally will have that pop culture segment thing, but I actually do not have much in the avenue of like pop culture related stuff though. But then something did kind of pop in the back of my mind just real quick. I just want to briefly go through and address it real quick. And it's kind of more so associated on the gaming news, not necessarily pop culture though. But when you think about in terms of live service games, you got your big ones like your Fortnites or whatever though. Occasionally some some shooters and stuff, like some other shooter games and stuff like that though. But if you're talking about a big, huge live service game in terms of like a kiddie audience, everybody and their mama probably heard about Roblox. I'm not necessarily one that's like super cracked up on Roblox or anything like that of the nature and search. Like I never booted up, played the game though, but I just know of some people that really like it. Like I teach some youth and stuff like that. So I know some younger kids that actually associate and play Roblox and stuff like that though. But apparently there's been some kind of buzz going around the thing with like, gosh, there's like older people playing this game, interacting with younger people. You're kind of catching the drift of where I'm going right now, though. So apparently, there's been some drama and stuff with Roblox and stuff like that, with them canceling some kind of YouTuber that was trying to find other people that were kind of more in the predatory environment in terms of like just seeking out younger people or whatever, though. So I mean, there's been some wild stuff going on with that game, though, and I don't know like every little bit of information though, and I'm starting to do some little digging up on there though. But I know some people have been, keeping up with the news, been looking up with that stuff. I'm going to do a little bit more digging because I know some people, some younger kids and stuff that play that game, so I want to make sure that they're educated and stuff like that. Because child safety, that's something, it's really serious and ain't nothing to really joke around about though. And it's just nasty, ugly behaviors like this. Like we really got to worry about this in terms of like, kids that should just be playing games and stuff and having like a great old time and not have to worry about, safety, anything like that. They're supposed to play a game just to have fun, just have a little bit of escape and just to enjoy a great old time though. But when you got a big service like this where it's all interconnected with your activity and stuff, the way how you interact and socialize with other people, some people that you might know, some people you may not know. I don't know. This Roblox company, they just need to honestly do better and stuff like that, though. Because, I mean, it's not looking pretty good for them as of right now, though. That's probably where I'm going to leave it at right now. If you know any other people that play this game, especially if you know some younger people, whether it be your a younger brother, a younger sibling, or something like that, a cousin or something like that, a niece or nephew or a well, if you're old enough and listen to this podcast, if you want to say a grandchild or whatever, though, you might want to spend some time educating them, and just never take anything for granted, especially in terms of an online environment and stuff, because people are more connected nowadays, especially at their younger ages, with just having a presence online than honestly whatever I had to grow. Like when I was growing up, that was never a thing. It was always what was going down on the playground and stuff like that. And the online infrastructure really wasn't taking off for me personally until like late junior high and like early high school. That's when it really started going on. Because shoot, the closest thing was Facebook for the longest time before Twitter started to become more of a thing, Instagram and all of that. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate to kind of see all this mess play out, though. It wasn't really thing I had on my docket scheduled for to be able to go through and personally talk about, though. But I figured I'd probably fill up this segment with something that I kind of just wanted to address, and it's just something I kind of thought about at the last segment, though. So just kind of keep all of that mess in mind, though. It's just nasty, Roblox. Like y'all gotta do better. Y'all gotta clean that mess up, though. All right, that's it in terms of what I'm filling in as a quote unquote pop culture segment, though. But now we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the next major segment of the show, that being what we've been playing. Alrighty, so in terms of what I've been playing recently, I did want to give a quick little update on Donkey Kong Bonanza because I did manage to actually go through and 100% this game. And man, it's been a phenomenal start to finish. Oh, freaking shoot. I will say this, it was when I got towards the very tail ending of the game, it was a little bit annoying trying to go through and trying to hunt down a few of those bananas and a few of those last remaining fossils and stuff like that. And if you do want 100% the game, you do have to collect every single fossil because there's going to be one single banana out there that you literally have to get only once you actually manage to buy and collect all of the different fossils and buy all the stuff out of the shops. So that one requirement right there, in order to get your full 100% bananiums, yeah, you got to go out there and hunt all of those fossils, though. So yeah, it was a nice, enjoyable experience. And I think when it was all said and done, it took me about 55-ish hours, give or take. And that's how long it took me to go through and 100% this game, though. So I want to say that might have been on a little bit of a lower side in comparison to Mario Odyssey. I think Mario Odyssey took me a little north of 60-ish. But I don't know. I feel like in Odyssey there was like a whole lot more stuff to actually go around and actually find in this one game in comparison to where Donkey Kong Bonanza, it was pretty straightforward. You're just kind of bashing, rolling your way through all of this carnage and stuff like that, the wreckage and all of that mess, though. And I felt like you were stumbling upon bananas or fossils constantly. Whereas Mario Odyssey, some of them they were just laying out in plain sight, but there was just so many of them. Like you had like close to 900 or something like that, or maybe it was high 800s in comparison to, I guess, what Bonanza with the bananas is like 700 ish something though. But yeah, overall it was a really great experience. I do have something in the works. Like there's already my review on the channel if you want to kind of get my official review of the game without any spoilers. And I'm wanting to coordinate with Steven a little bit because I do want to kind of go through and talk about all things spoilery related. Like that's basically everything from the midway point of the game that I didn't talk about in the review all the way up to this epic conclusion. And since both me and Steven now at this point have managed to go through and 100% the game, it'll be a really great opportunity just to talk about everything, including that last final boss. Because oh my gosh, I was popping off. I literally jumped out of my chair at one point, though. I wasn't really expecting this within a Donkey Kong game like this. I just wasn't expecting some of that stuff in that finale run, though. So, there should be some good content at least coming, at least Donkey Kong Bonanza related to kind of finish that game off in it of a nutshell though. So yeah, so you'll have some stuff to look forward to here fairly soon. So fingers crossed everything gets situated and sorted out on that though. But outside of that, because that's where most of my time was going, and I just recently finished that game. What was it, Friday? So not even 2 days ago, I managed to finish that 100% run. Since then, a little earlier today, I actually managed to. I was looking through the rest of my games, and I was trying to figure out exactly like what would be that next game that I wanted to go through and play. Like after playing a big game, a meaty game with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and with it, being kind of actiony, but also a platformer. I kind of needed a good old palate cleanser. Like I didn't want to necessarily jump into my next RPG because I do have some RPGs in the backlog sitting that I need to kind of get around to. Gosh, I'm looking at Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D someday. But I was like, you know what? I think now is a good time to kind of throw a monkey wrench in the plan. Let's just go ahead and pick something out of the backlog that's quite different than most common games I kind of go through and play nowadays, though. And yes, I'm referring to Another Code Recollection. That's actually what I just booted up just now. I put about, maybe close to an hour-ish of time just today alone into that game. And it was a game I really wanted to kind of get around, sit down, and get to because I think I managed to pick that game up digitally when Best Buy had like a deal for Best Buy Plus members where it's like buy two, get one free or something like that for Switch games, though. So I remember picking that one up along with two other games. And I said eventually I want to sit down and get to it because this was originally two different games. One that came out on the Nintendo DS and then one that came out on the Wii. The Wii title was limited to like the European region and Japan, whereas the DS one, it was available, worldwide. It was also for North America as well, though. And with it being like a visual novel game, it's kind of in the same avenue as some of your stuff, like what you expect within Ace Attorney with Capcom, or more recently, you might be thinking about Famicom Detective Club, like with the missing air or the girl who stands behind, and the most recent one being Emio the Smiling Man. So I don't get to play a lot of visual novels here and there. Is this mostly Famicom Detective Club or Ace Attorney? That's it. Like I don't really mess around with much of anything else. Well, I did mess around with Doki Doki Literature Club at one point. I didn't play it. I saw someone else play it though. But I mean, that's the greatest extent of my visual novel games. So I thought this will be a pretty novel idea. I mean, it was originally a DS and a Wii game, and they managed to put these two together. I think it takes about 15 hours or so to manage to go through and play through all of it. So I'm just going to slowly try to chip away and play at this game, just kind of see what this is all about. I do like the fact that how it's like fully voice acted, which is something I kind of miss with the Famicom Detective Clubs. Even though, yes, those are fully voice acted, with it being the only available dubbing language being Japanese, it's like, oh shoot, you're still going through and reading subtitles just to understand everything though. But it's just kind of nice to be able to hear your own natural English language and then being able to speak like that. So I'm like, okay. So I'm thoroughly enjoying my time on the game though. I'm just kind of in the intro-ish area. I just managed to get to the mansion, and that's the furthest I've been right there. So as I keep having a few more of these episodes, I might finish it by the next podcast episode, or it might take a couple. Who's to say though? But the goal is at least try to go through and then beat this game here, and then once I'm done with this game, then I'll figure out exactly what I want to play after that. It's getting close to the point where we're supposed to have PlayStation come out with gosh, I don't even know why the name is slipping my mind right now though. But Ghost of I was about to say Ghost of Tsushima. Ghosts of Yote. That's about to come out here soon. So I kind of want to go back and tie up all my loose ends with Ghost of Tsushima right before Ghost of Yote comes out, though. So maybe I'll do that after I'm done with Another Code Recollection. Just kind of get my nice little palate cleanser out of the way. So that way, that's going to be like the next big major marquee title that's going to come out for me personally at the very beginning of October. Because if y'all hadn't looked at the schedule of games that are supposed to come out in October alone, oh freaking goodness, like my gosh, man, like that's so many games coming out in that month of October though. And you know what, I might as well go ahead and pull out that list here, because I know a lot of people have been kind of thinking about like, dang, what are we gonna play in terms of like Switch 2 related stuff, because now we're kind of in a limbo period where we're kind of just waiting for games to come out. And they're just like, because after people wrap up on Donkey Kong Bonanza, I mean, sure, we know Metro Prime 4 is coming at some point. We know Pokemon Legends ZA will probably be the next big game for a lot of people out there coming out in October, though. But if you're not a Pokemon fan or nothing like that, or you're just also just curious if anything else beyond it, we don't have a lot of release date for a lot of these games, though. But October, if you happen to be someone that really likes multi-plat games, I mean, hey, there's going to be quite a bit of stuff available, though. But yeah, just looking at all the games I'm personally interested in that's supposed to come out in October, we have Ghost of Tsushima coming out on the 2nd. You have Pokemon Legends ZA on the 16th. Ninja Gaiden 4 on the 21st. Dragon Quest 1 Plus 2 HD 2D remake on October 30th. And then on Halloween, you have Mina the Hollower also coming out, though. Any game I'm actually really looking forward to, though. So, yeah, there's a crap ton of stuff that's going to come out in the month of October, though. So I was like, oh, shoot, like rip my wallet or whatever, though. I'm going to have to figure that mess out. I really only got time to go through and play through maybe a couple of games at best. But I'm going to find a way to make it work out, because it kind of reminds me back in, 2023, I think. Whatever year that when Monster Hunter Stories 2 came out, there was 4 games that came out in that month of June, I think. June or July, but I think it was June. And somehow I managed to get through that month, though. So I'm like, I guess I'll just have to do the same thing with, I literally will have to just do the same thing with all these games coming out in this October, though. And gosh, man, I got to get those new controllers for Ghost of Yote too. Ooh, man, my wallet's going to kill me in October, though. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a idea of some of the games I've been going through and playing, at least within these past couple of weeks. It's mostly Donkey Kong. Just recently started up another Code Recollection, though. So yeah, so not bad games. I just feel like we're just in this kind of weird limbo period and stuff like that. I know, Metal Gear Solid Delta is supposed to be coming out at the end of this month, though. But yeah, everything seems all right. Oh, shoot. And while I'm on this topic, before we talk about the gaming news stuff, everybody look at y'all gosh dang calendars right stinking now. It is, quote, August the 17th. August the 17th. Analog 3D. You have exactly 1 stinking week until we're supposed to have some kind of announcement that you're shipping these gosh dang Analog 3D consoles out to all of us people that managed to pre-order this mess, because y'all did say y'all had to give us a heads up notice 1 week out in advance before y'all are going to try to ship these consoles. And it is August the 17th, and in order to hold that up, that means we're in the final week where we're supposed to get some kind of news on this. Now, originally, this console was supposed to come out between the months of January through March as quarter 1 of 2025. They delayed it to July. We got almost to the last week of July, and then they said, oh, we're going to delay it until it's going to ship some point in the month of August. We're past the halfway point, and we only got 1 week left. If you want to give yourself that cushion of, hey, we're going to still ship it within August, shoot, they can still technically ship that mess on August 31st, and they're still technically right. But that means sometime this week, we got to get an announcement or an update in our email saying, hey, this console is actually shipped. I still would like to see some kind of footage, screenshots, something of this console running or anything. And it's just been radio silence. Y'all waiting once again to the very last second to do anything on this mess, though. The products you put out in the past, from everything I've seen, have been good in quality, though. But what the heck are we doing with the Analog 3D with this basically an N64 clone? Whole freaking shoot. All I want to do is play Diddy Kong Racing, my Conker's Bad Fur Day, and what's the other one? I said Diddy Kong Racing, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and Donkey Kong 64 coming right off of Donkey Kong Bonanza. I just want to play all 3 of those games on some hardware that's reminiscent of the N64, and I'll be able to actually thoroughly enjoy my time with it, though. It's been way too long, Analog 3D. You better get your act together, because this time, in 2 weeks from now, in my ZardCast episode 110, I should either have that system in my hands, or we have some screenshots and some footage to actually talk about, and I know that my system's already in transit. Do not fail me, Analog 3D. Do not, for the life of me, delay this console one more stinking time. You literally said y'all eating the cost of the tariffs, and we should be and y'all were excited to share some news here fairly soon. Do not mess this up. Oh, freaking shoot. All right, I had to get that out of me because I was like, you know what, this is probably the perfect time to talk about this while I was talking about games I was playing and stuff. That's the last, honestly, the last quote unquote system I should have added to my collection until like what, maybe the PS6 might come out in a couple years from now, and even then I'll be kind of iffy whether I'll actually pick it up or not. But I don't know. But yeah, all right, that was just a good place to stick that up in, and that's basically going to conclude out my segment for what we've been playing. So now we're going to jump over to the next and final major segment of the show, that being what's in the gaming news. Alrighty, so now it is finally time to go ahead and talk about some indie world announcements that was actually showcased off within that last indie world presentation though. And you know, coming right off the heels of that Nintendo Direct partner showcase, people were expecting maybe at some point we'll have a general Nintendo Direct. For all y'all out there that's still kind of wondering, you know, when that might necessarily happen, honestly, at this point, don't be shocked. Don't be surprised. That mess is not going to happen until like what? At the earliest? Probably not until September. So, hey, you know what? For the time being, you're just going to have to, you know, make do with all of the games that happen to already be announced for the console, or, you know, just take some time to go through your backlog and stuff, because there's a lot of great games on the Switch 1 that you're able to go through and play right now. Or, you know, there's a few stuff out there that's kind of Switch 2 related that you might be able to get your hands up on as well, though. It's not necessarily extremely doom and gloom unless you're just one of those people out there that managed to go through and just, you know, play like a stupid amount of games on, like, if you happen to have multiple consoles like a PS5 or an Xbox Series console or anything like that, though. But yeah, so we'll just kind of quickly go through and just blast through some of these indie world presentation announcements and stuff like that, because I do manage to have some of it up there on the little screen if you happen to be watching here on YouTube though. But literally, Mina the Hollower. Now this is a game that was made by Yacht Club Games, and I think it's been in the works. It's been, you know, in I think they started this thing off a Kickstarter or whatever though. But they've been working on this game for quite some time though. They put out a demo during the Summer Games Fest for like Steam. Now there's a demo for this game available currently on the Switch. And I actually managed to go hands-on. I played a little bit of this demo though, and it's crazy to think of all of the different stuff that they managed to incorporate in this game. It's like combine some of the best elements of The Legend of Zelda and some of the best elements of a Castlevania game, just kind of putting in a world of like a Zelda kind of clone or whatever though. And that's what you have with Mina the Hollower and stuff. This game is supposed to come out on October 31st. And at first, I'm not too crazy on like a lot of indie games. I might pick up one, maybe two games throughout the whole course of a year though. But this is a must play after I managed to play a little bit of that demo though. If you're interested in wanting to play this demo at all whatsoever, I think it's a limited time demo. It's only gonna be available on the eShop up until I think Thursday. I remember Celia talking about it because she's one of the social media people for Yacht Club Games. She says Thursday, that's when it's gonna go down though. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so, you know, that was a personal highlight, at least for me personally, in this Indie World presentation. And then I started going through and looking at all the other games. I think UFO 50, it's like a hodgepodge of like a whole bunch of random old games. That one seemed pretty solid, at least for most people. When most people were kind of going through and talking about the Indie World presentation. So, you know, a lot of people kind of really like that game. I mean, it's kind of crazy how many different games they managed to shove up in that thing. I was like, wait, how are we able to get that many good? I mean, not all of them are like extremely really good though, but like, how can you shove that many games into one single game like that? I don't know though. I mean, it's not like a Clubhouse 51 Classics or anything like that though. But I mean, I give them props because I think for a lot of those games, you might dabble, play a little bit of it, find the ones that you really like. But then some other ones you might just be kind of okay up on it though. And let me just pull up all of the other indie world games that were kind of showed off in that presentation. Because I mean, the rest of them, as I'm kind of going through and looking at, just the footage and stuff that's just running over here on the rest of the screen, though. I mean, you had some other weird stuff like Is the Seat Taken, Hurling, Strange Antiques, UFO 50, just talked about that, Tiny Bookshop, Monument Valley 3, Michelin's A Tiny Tale, Ruffy, Riverside. It was some stuff that was all right, nothing too crazy or anything like that though. But yeah, I mean, outside of maybe UFO 50 and Mina the Hollower, this show wasn't really kind of doing it for probably a lot of different people out there. I mean, yes, everybody might be able to find at least one, maybe two games that might be able to resonate with them, though. I found my one, thank goodness. But it was just weird because if you even look at the ending of that Indie World showcase, the way how they ended it, gosh, it ended on a sizzle reel. Like, I don't care what kind of presentation it is, a partner showcase, an Indie World presentation, a general Nintendo Direct or something like that, any one of those showcases from Nintendo, we shouldn't be ending the presentation off with a sizzle reel. And I think that's where UFO 50 managed to slip up in there. There should always be at least one more thing. I don't know what could be able to take Mina the Hollower's start of the show, but I mean, you could have had that at the ending of the presentation, and then had something else at the front, so that way it seems like you have a one more. It would have made the presentation have at least a little bit more so to kind of go for it or whatever though. But I don't know. It was just kind of an odd choice, at least for me personally though. So I mean, overall, if I were to give this thing a letter grade, I probably would have ranked it. Honestly, it's kind of like a C minus, maybe a D. I'll say a D. It would have been almost an F if it weren't for Mina the Hollower, though. But Mina the Hollower is almost bringing this mess up to like a C minus, at least for me personally, though. But, if any of y'all happen to like that Indie World showcase, let me know, though. But it just seemed like the general consensus, at least on that show, it wasn't too hot or anything like that. Normally, I can find at least 2 or 3 things that look kind of cool, but only to get one, I mean, I guess it is what it is, though. But yeah, this wasn't one of those things I was like, oh, I'm going to wake up early and watch the show or anything like that or live react to it. Yeah, I just know that most of these Indie World presentations aren't necessarily going to be like my good cup of tea or anything like that, though. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to basically do it in terms of everything I wanted to talk about, at least for that Indie World presentation right there. So now we're going to go ahead and swing it over to the next topic, though, because Kirby Forgotten Land plus Star Cross World, they did manage to actually throw out a little bit of some new content up here in terms of like just a general overview of this whole entire trailer, though. And I'm kind of glad they put this mess out here, though, because this is probably one of the other few games for the Switch 2 that's going to kind of keep some people occupied. Because, oh, shoot, I didn't even talk about this. Drag X Drive. I did manage to buy that game. That was a game I should have talked about in the games we've been playing segment thing, though. So, we'll talk about Kirby first. Then I'll go ahead and backtrack and talk about my experience with Drag X Drive. We'll kind of do an intermission right after this segment, though. But yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, it's crazy to think that this game is coming out here fairly soon, though. At least the DLC content of everything, though. And I'm going to go ahead and get this little thing playing over here on the TV. So that way all of us can go through and just watch it again, though. But yeah, I do like the fact that how this update, it is going to allow you to be able to go through and play this game in 60 FPS, which that's going to be really nice. Because I do remember going through and playing this game, and I never managed to go through and fully beat this game, which is kind of unfortunate, though. But I mean, like, I don't get me wrong, I really do like myself some Kirby games and stuff, though. But at least I think it's just something about Forgotten Land where I just feel like this is what most Kirby games, not all Kirby games, but most Kirby games. Sometimes I can feel like the simplicity of it all, not the fact that it's super complex or gets you to think really too hard. It just kind of, I don't know, it puts me off because it's just like, it's not super. I mean, I don't really need to have a game to be super challenging, but at the same point, I needed to actually cause me to think, have some kind of quick response time, get me to question or think about stuff. But I just kind of felt like, at least when I was going through Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I was just kind of going through the motions. But I will give Nintendo credit for this one, as it was like, what, the first major Kirby game that just managed to go into like a fully 3D environment instead of just having like, what, a Kirby Star Allies or something like that, and just having the game be 2Ds and stuff like that, though. But seeing all of this footage right here, it running at a crystal clear 60 FPS and stuff like that. I mean, it looks really nice, though. Now, how many people are actually going to go through it and manage to go through and buy this? I mean, that's going to be yet to be seen, though, especially considering now that, let's say if you're somebody that didn't buy Kirby and the Forgotten Land originally, this game normally would have costed $60, but then you add the DLC on top of it. So then if you're buying that physical version off of retailers, goodness, you're actually going to wind up having to pay $80. That's the same amount of money that you have to actually put into buying Mario Kart World. So, I mean, I hadn't heard a lot of outrage on this because I felt like most people that probably wouldn't get this experience probably already own Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and they're just paying $20 just to get the DLC stuff, though. So, yeah, so at least this will keep some Switch 2 owners, you know, occupied for the time being, though. And hey, it's, you know, it's a little extra Kirby content because Kirby never fails to get something new almost every single year, whether it's something quickly on the eShop, a whole brand new release or something like that. Like, Kirby fans always somehow manage to eat good every single year. So yeah, so I'm trying to figure out exactly when does that game come out, though, because I mean, it is literally August 28th. So what, we got almost like a week and a half left to go, because it's not coming out this Thursday, but it's coming out the next Thursday. So basically the last full week of August, though. So yeah, so honestly, some really nice, cool stuff they managed to put up in here, though. I don't know how long it will actually. Ultimate Cup ZEX. Well, I appreciate the tougher boss rushes and stuff like that, though. But hey, at least hopefully there's a good amount of content. I wouldn't expect like a crazy amount of content that would be added into this DLC. Probably an extra 5, 8 hours at most. We'll be lucky if we get that amount of content within Kirby and the Forgotten Land, though. But I think it should be just enough to kind of hold some people over, though. But it's not really going to do it for a lot of people, at least hold people over for like a whole entire month or anything like that, though. So, honestly, really nice stuff within this game. Just nice to see the fluid stuff and then not having to run in 30 FPS anymore. I think that's probably going to be the major draw and appeal and stuff like that. I do know Steven says he really loves Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So he says he's going to manage to pick this game up. So I think, yeah, the game should come out for the DLC. It should be out by the time we have our next podcast episode. So when Steven's back on the pod, he'll be able to give his full thoughts on this game. And I'm kind of curious to see exactly what he manages to think about this whole entire DLC experience, though. So yeah, so overall, not too bad for Kirby. Not too bad for Kirby, though. So yeah, I think that's basically it in terms of what I wanted to say on the Star-Crossed World content that we're kind of getting here fairly soon. Now let's go ahead and backpedal just a little bit, because I did manage to forget about a game that I was managed to go through and play, because I did manage to buy this game. Drag X Drive. That did come out this past weekend. I did unfortunately manage to miss the demo where they were able to, if you had like an NSO subscription, you were able to actually go through and play the game early and like these like short online sessions or whatever. I missed that entirely, but I knew I still wanted to get it because I knew it was gonna be like one of the premier games that you're able to do with the Joy-Con. And I think I played it like maybe one time. I wanted to play it a little more with Steven, because I feel like this is gonna be one of those games where it's like me and him are just gonna pick it up from time to time and we'll just have fun with it or whatever, though. But I can see why a lot of people, or at least a lot of reviewers, it's the rough general consensus, it's like a 6 out of 10 for most people, though. Some people ranked it as 7, some people might have ranked it a little bit lower, but it averaged out roughly at a 6 out of 10 on like Metacritic, so right around the 60-ish range. And I can understand why, because it does seem to kind of lack a little bit of the Nintendo charm. Like, it's not nearly as polished or as stylish as some of these other games. Like, some people are really quick to make the comparison to ARMS. At least ARMS had a lot of charm, personality, a lot of colors going up into it. Each one of the characters looked really unique and stuff. They had their own little special powers and stuff like that. All the stages looked unique and stuff. It had constant updates and stuff like that. They tried to get in the competitive scene, even though it didn't really last that long. At least they made an attempt for it, though. I do not see competitive wheelchair basketball taking off like this. I just honestly don't see it, though, because at least the controls, it seems like you will have a fun time, though. But man, I tried it in 2 different environments while trying to go through and play through this game. I tried the Joy-Cons over here on my PC on my little mat here, and I was trying to see, how well that will work. And honestly, when I started moving those Joy-Cons across the desk like that, my arms got a little bit tired. I ain't gonna lie. And yes, you got to pull up that Joy-Con and make a shot off like that. I do like the thought process behind it, but I think it's something about the execution where I just wasn't necessarily gravitating with it that well. And I was like, let me switch it up, because they did say, as long as you have some kind of surface, you can actually manage to play this game. So I was like, all right, let me not try doing it on a desk where you got to, play a game roughly at a 90-degree angle with your arms. Let me actually try it on my legs. And I think playing on your legs is probably the way to go, as long as you ain't got like some really tough jeans or like something that, those Joy-Cons can't easily slide upon, though. Because I think working that downward motion, it almost feels like you're actually in a wheelchair at that point, though. Simulates it at least a little bit better, though. I think that's going to be the way for me to go, at least playing Drag X Drive for the little bits of bursts of time I managed to get through and do it, though. But yeah, honestly, the matches, they're not incredibly long. You can do like trick shots and stuff like that, depending on the way how you hit your brakes, you lift up. Slam dunking the ball off the ramps, it's not an easy process and stuff like that. And yes, the moment you do manage to kind of score a goal or whatever, though, I know you need to like blitz and manage to run back and get on defense or whatever, though. It's really hard to block somebody's shot. It's not like an NBA 2K or NBA Jam or anything like that, like any of those other basketball games out there where it's like it's kind of easy to play defense and stuff. It's tough. And sometimes when you want to angle your shot and stuff like that, you just have to perfectly line yourself up while twisting the left and right Joy-Cons. And sometimes you'll kind of miss the input just by a little bit, where it's like you're not angling yourself just right to either intercept the ball or line your shot up just right to be able to nail the 3-point shot or just nail the 2 or whatever, though. Now, I know you got like 3 different characters that you can select between. You got like a guard, which plays a little bit faster, but it's really easy to knock the ball out of their hands. You have like a standard overall person, which is actually pretty good because, they can take some hits and move decently fast. And then you got like your heavyset player, which is basically like somebody that's played in the post. So that way, they could take a lot of shots or whatever, though, but you're not going to easily knock them around or whatever, though. I think for me personally, just playing as the standard unit, I think it's probably the way to go, honestly, in terms of just having a great all-around person or whatever, though. So that's really nice, though. But I think it's just something about it not having a lot of charm, and you're just kind of going in and out of these matches, and there's not like a lot of stuff to kind of diversify up your gameplay. I mean, yes, you do have like a little bit of mini games and stuff like that. You can play in the park and stuff and be able to, put in some time and stuff that do a little few things here and there. That's not the traditional 3-on-3, though. But tell me why. Why the heck, Nintendo? I had me and Steven both in the same room, right? And I was thinking, oh, okay, I can play against him, and I can have 2 CPUs on my side. He can have 2 CPUs on his side, so we could basically do a full 3-on-3 match. Why on earth, and I think it was the same case with the demo, that you have to have only enough CPUs that match the actual real amount of players? So you mean to tell me, even when I set up these private lobbies like this, we could only basically do it where I'm like, hey, it's basically me and a CPU versus Steven and one of his CPUs, and that is it. Like, what are we doing over here, Nintendo? Like, maybe I could kind of understand this if it was like a somewhat public library, but like when it's a private library, when it's a private group and it's just me playing with whoever happens to play this game, which is only going to be Steven. I doubt any of my other friends are going to manage to be able to pick up Drag X Drive. Like, what the freak? Like, that's just weird. Like, we need to patch that, put an update out there, Nintendo. Like, we got to do something about this. Like, we can do a whole lot better up on this mess, man. So, yeah, so that's just one little thing I was kind of frustrated with Drag X Drive. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, though. And I think outside of that's pretty much it in terms of like the greatest extent that I could personally talk about and vouch within Drag X Drive. Overall, I don't think the game is terrible. I just don't think it has a lot going for it though. And let's keep it real. Let's keep it $1.50. People are gonna probably play this game for the first week, 2 weeks, maybe no more than a month. And I guarantee you, by the time something comes out within a quote unquote September Direct or something like that, whatever shadow drops during that month, because I feel like they're going to still drop a game in September. It won't be like a Metroid Prime 4 anymore at this point or whatever, though. People are going to move on from this game. Luckily, this game doesn't cost any more than $20, though. But still, even requiring $20 for this, it's still kind of asking for quite a bit, though. So I still want to see if I can kind of get somewhat good in this game, though. But I feel like it's super easy to cheese the system and kind of work around these people, though, because like the controls, they're not the tightest in terms of like what you want to do. Because sometimes those Joy-Cons, they'll register exactly what you're doing, and sometimes they're kind of off. Like Steven was kind of complaining about it a little bit when I was playing against him, though. So I don't know. Drag X Drive, it's an okay game at best, but it's definitely not like the greatest thing out there, though. And it's kind of crazy to think that that's technically the fourth game that Nintendo has put out here exclusively on the Switch too. It kind of feels like the third game, but for all sakes and purposes, the fourth, because you had like what Mario Kart World and Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Then you had Donkey Kong Bonanza, and now you have Drag X Drive. Kind of odd though, but I don't know. It's just kind of a little bit weird. I don't know though, but yeah. I think that's pretty much it in terms of all I want to talk about within Drag X Drive though. But I didn't necessarily have this as a topic as well. I'm just going to go ahead and shove it up in here as well since I was talking about games. We did manage to get a new a new announcement for a new NSO game that's coming over to Nintendo Switch Online for GameCube. Chibi Robo. Chibi Robo managed to kind of show up out of nowhere though. And I was like, oh gosh. I was like, you know what? I mean, yeah, that was kind of showcased off in the little banner of upcoming games though. But to have Chibi Robo finally playable in a decent sense because of the fact that have you seen those prices on eBay and stuff like that? Like that mess is stupidly, and I do mean stupidly expensive. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah. So I'm kind of glad that this game is going to be finally playable in terms of like, you know, where it's not going to break the bank for anybody though. Because this is one game I really wanted to add to my Nintendo Switch, not Nintendo Switch, my GameCube collection though. But because of how stupidly expensive it was, I was like, there was just absolutely no way I was going to be able to actually pull this mess off. So yeah, so it should come out here fairly soon. I think it's supposed to come out sometime this week if I'm not mistaken though. And basically, you just run around as like a little chibi old robot. You're just collecting a bunch of points and stuff. You're kind of going through, helping, cleaning up the house and stuff like that, though. So, yeah. So, this is going to be one of those GameCube games I'm actually going to put a decent bit of time up in. So, hey, if you're one of those people out there complaining, hey, we ain't got like a lot of first-party variety and stuff like that. If you have an NSO subscription base or subscription service, you might as well go ahead and check this game out, though, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun just kind of go through and just check out the novelty of this mess, though, because, I mean, like, what, there's only like a few games in this series, though, and everybody always raves that the GameCube original was the best one in the series, though, so I have to check and just make sure, though, but yeah, that comes out on August the 21st, so we don't have to wait too much longer, because that also comes out basically this upcoming Thursday, though, so yeah. Not too bad right there. Not too bad right there, though. All right, so I think that basically did it in terms of a couple of things I want to kind of squeeze up in the show while I still had the opportunity to do so, though. So, yeah, we'll keep that right there, though. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to another segment because I wanted to go through and talk about these fiscal sales that we managed to get from PlayStation in terms of, like, you know, PS5 numbers, how well it's doing, you know, some of the stuff they managed to kind of sell, physical versus digital, and all of that fun little mess, though. So currently, right now, the PS5 has managed to ship 80.3 million units worldwide. Now notice how they said shipped. That doesn't necessarily mean sold. Some of these numbers are going to be, or some of these units are actually like what? I guess PS5s that are actually, it could honestly just be sitting in retailers like your Best Buy, Walmart's, Targets, whatever though. But roughly 80.3 million units have managed to sell. I think when it's all said and done, I think the PS5 is probably going to sit a little better than the PS4. Like, I think it should crack the 100 million mark. But how far will it go? Will it touch PS2? Probably, definitely not. I mean, Sony's just been kind of struggling in terms of putting out that many first-party games. So I kind of highly doubt that, though. But if you look at all of the quarterly software that they managed to sell, so that's everything within like these past 3 months, they managed to sell 65.9 million units of software. But this part always gets me every single time. I don't know if it's just a PlayStation thing or what, but it kind of speaks volumes to kind of, where the gaming ecosystem is currently at right now. 83% of all games bought on the PS5 within the past quarter were all digital games versus 17% that was actually physical. You have less than, because for all sakes and purposes, if you want to round the numbers out, you could basically say for every 5 people, 4 people are buying digital games in comparison to 1 person buying a physical game. Every time I keep seeing these quarterly updates from PlayStation, I see these crazy attach rates to digital versus physical. It kind of makes sense why you have these PS5s out there that are diskless, and you have to actually go and buy the disc drive in order to actually attach it. Hence, also the reason why the PS5 Pro comes without one, and you have to actually buy a separate thing and have it attached later as well, though. So I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. So I mean, I feel like that's a strong indication, if you hadn't already thought so or put 2 to 2 together, why, hey, whatever comes after the PS5, which will likely be the PS6, that'll be the next big major console for them, probably comes out in like, what, 2027, maybe. Ideally, I don't think there's going to be a disc drive on that thing. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be able to play physical media on the PS6 or later. Because when you start seeing attach rates like that to digital already, I mean, hey, if I were Sony, why would I even do that? Yes, you might lose some of the dedicated hardcore audience that really loves to play their games physical, though, but let's keep it $150. If you have to stick a disc into your PS5 and have it basically burn all the data off that disk and then install it onto your system memory or onto your SSD that you have plugged up into the system as well, effectively, basically at that point, treating it like a digital game. I think that's one of the main reasons why most people just say, hey, if I got to do this and spend that time doing that, I might as well buy the game digitally. I think that's one of the strong reasons why a lot more people, at least in the PlayStation ecosystem, might be attaching themselves digitally or whatever, though. And then you get all these crazy sales with like PlayStation Plus members and stuff like that, or you get the free games and stuff if you manage to be a part of a subscription-based service. I think that's one of the main reasons why we see these numbers come in from PlayStation and be so strong like that. So it's just kind of something to kind of keep your mind up on in terms of all of this stuff, though. So yeah, so honestly, it's kind of crazy seeing these numbers out there like that, though. But then also, the one last thing I guess we can talk about the numbers from PlayStation is roughly about 6.9 million units of first-party software did manage to sell. I don't know what the heck was the first-party games that were selling. I guess it's just more their evergreen content because, like what? Pure first-party wise, we hadn't really had anything come out that's brand new, should I say, in the year 2025. That big major marquee title will be Ghost of Yotei, and we don't have to wait too much longer. It literally comes out at the beginning of October, though. I'm gonna be one of those people. I've been looking at those the amazing face plates and stuff that they have for the PS5 for Ghost of Yotei and the DualSense controller, because I think like what the one that has like the black etching designs and stuff is exclusive to the PlayStation Direct store, whereas the one with the gold designs and stuff, that's going to be available with the retailers, at least for us here in North America. I'm definitely just only picking up a controller, and I want to get the gold related stuff. I always keep telling myself, look, if I'm buying a limited edition controller, I'm only going to get the stuff that's going to be basically, games that I really resonate with, which most of them is either Insomniac games or Sucker Punch games. I got one for Astrobot, so I picked up that, the Spider-Man 2 controller and stuff like that. Now I'm gonna get this Ghost of Yotei controller as well, though. But yeah, so I'm really looking for when that game managed to come out. That's the next big major PlayStation game I'm really looking forward to, though. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see the next quarterly updates for PlayStation once we manage to have Ghost of Yotei firmly in our hands, so that way we have some other stuff to be able to go through and compare it with, though. So yeah, so not too bad, PlayStation, not too bad, but we'll see where y'all at here in the next few months. Once that new Ghost of Yotei game managed to come out, though. But yeah, that's gonna basically do it in terms of this this PlayStation segment, though. So now we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the next segment because apparently this one's weird. I'm gonna keep it real. This one's really weird because apparently Nintendo just randomly one evening managed to say, "Hey, we're gonna have this My Mario, not necessarily a campaign, but I guess a promotion or whatever you want to call it." They're basically pushing this on the younger audience and stuff because as you can kind of see if you're watching this on YouTube and stuff like that, they had their whole My Mario theming and stuff like that with either like kids toys, little amiibos and stuff like that, because they actually managed to put out a new app that's available for Nintendo Switch, also Switch 2, as well as like if you want to buy it or get it on your mobile devices. It's not actually an app you have to even pay for or whatever, though, but literally there's an app where you're able to download and buy where you're actually playing around and messing around with Mario's face. That's basically it. I guess this is a good way for Nintendo to kind of pull in really young audiences. That way they're able to kind of keep Nintendo's basically like a really family-friendly company at the end of the day. And if you can catch them when they're that young and associate them with Mario, that way they can kind of, watch things such as like the Mario movie and stuff like that, get engaged like that. Then lo and behold, you're asking your parents, say, hey, can I buy a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch 2 or something like that? It gets you in the ecosystem and stuff. I think that's what they're really just kind of going for right there, though. And I don't know why, but just seeing you be able to mess around with Mario's face, it's really reminiscent for everybody and their mama that managed to go out there and play Mario 64. We were doing that mess as kids way back when. It's just kind of funny to see how history kind of repeats itself all the way until where we're currently at right now. Us as kids messing around with that with an N64 controller on our CRT TVs back in the day, to where now the kids nowadays, they're just tapping Mario's face, dragging it wherever they want on an iPad or a Samsung tablet, whatever, though, or someone else's phone, though. So it's kind of cool just seeing that, though. And then also a part of this whole entire campaign, little push or whatever you want to call it, they're releasing wooden Amiibo. Get that right, wooden Amiibo. And it's unfortunately, you're not going to be able to buy these Amiibo anywhere stateside or over here on the West. This is basically exclusively only available, from what I've been able to see or understand, from Japan side of things, though. And that's kind of unfortunate, though. But the one crazy thing about all this mess is, hey, you're going to have scalpers all over this mess going through and trying to pick up this mess, though, which honestly, that's really going to be a shame at the end of the day, because this stuff is supposed to be meant for kids. But I do kind of see the strong novelty of having a action wooden Amiibo, though. And I know a lot of people are going to go crazy and going to go absolutely nuts for this mess, though. I mean, yes, I would like to be able to say I got a wooden Mario or a wooden Luigi. What else is up on this little graphic? I think they got like a little bit of a tiny little wooden Yoshi or something like that as well, though. Wooden Peach and a few different power-ups and stuff like that, though. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how I guess they managed to shove that NFC chip up in there, so you can actually use these as actual Amiibos, though. But yeah, it's going to be a real one of those novel Amiibos, and because there's like a handful of Amiibos that is actually exclusive to Japan, so they're just going to add this to the bucket list as well, though. I just kind of wish that they did manage to bring this stateside. I mean, even if they managed to lock it to like one of the Nintendo stores, like Nintendo New York or Nintendo of oh gosh, the one that just opened up there in California as well. Was it San Diego? But anyway, though. But yeah, it'd be cool just to at least bring it stateside, so at least we have the opportunity of just being able to collect these things, though, as like a firm Amiibo collector. I mean, I like collecting Amiibo. I don't get every single one. I just get the ones that are cool. I would like just to have the novelty of just having a wooden Amiibo, though. But yeah, this mostly catered towards kids though, but it's an interesting little twist to see how Nintendo's trying to cater towards those younger audiences, because Nintendo, they can't take anything for granted nowadays though, especially now that you have a lot of different devices between parents' phones, tablets, and stuff like that though. It was really easy for us to kind of stay associated within gaming and stuff like that as kids. Like, I remember the N64 being out. You had all these handheld devices, your Game Boy, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy Advances, DSs, and stuff. Like, you'll just see kids walking around doing that stuff, though. But nowadays, when you got to compete with mobile devices, tablets, and stuff like that, all these free-to-play games, though, it's not necessarily a given that any kid or something like that is going to naturally gravitate towards Nintendo anything, like whatever they happen to be putting out at that given moment, though. So I think that's just one of their strong major pushes, and this is going to mostly obviously cater towards the Japanese market, though. But you have to think Nintendo will be smart enough to at least try to make an attempt to do something like that for us over here in the West, because they do know North America is technically one of the biggest markets for Nintendo. It makes them the most money, though. But I digress, though. We'll see how well and successful this little campaign is, or it might be, honestly, the last we hear about this thing, though, well, outside of people trying to scalp. And, gosh, I don't even want to know how much they're going to wind up trying to mark up these wooden Amiibos on, eBay or wherever, though. But, yeah, we will see on that mess. We will see for sure, though. But, yeah, I think that's basically it in terms of all I want to talk about here, at least on the Hello Mario app and the wooden Amiibo push that they're doing with My Mario campaign or whatever, though. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about Kirby Air Riders. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anything to report in terms of like brand new information in terms of like a gameplay trailer or anything like that, though. But we did manage to get a cool little statement coming out from Sakurai, where he basically kind of gave a little bit of a mini update on Kirby Air Riders. He didn't say much, but he did manage to say at least a tiny little bit of stuff, though. So I got the little tweet here pulled up, and this is kind of auto translated. So take with it as you will, though. But you can kind of read between the lines, though. But he basically said, it doesn't matter to most people, but today Sora Company Ltd is celebrating its 20th anniversary. That's a long time. Thank you for the continued support. The new game Kirby Air Riders hasn't even shown gameplay footage yet, but I think we'll be able to share more information soon. Please wait. So yeah, so reminder, this is one of those other games that was showcased off in that Nintendo Switch 2 presentation they managed to do way back. I believe it was in April. And yes, we know that this game was originally set to have a window release date of 2025. In terms of that latest fiscal reporting that we managed to get from Nintendo, they did manage to say, yes, this game is still planning to come out in the year of 2025. The big question is just when, because we didn't manage to see any new updated gameplay footage whatsoever, though. So the fact that Sakurai did manage to come out and put out that statement out there saying, hey, you know what, we are going to manage to get some new gameplay footage here fairly soon, kind of gives me hopes that, yes, the next major General Nintendo Direct, which will probably happen in the month of September, it might be the time where we might be able to see a brand new update in terms of Kirby Air Riders. So I think between Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, I think Kirby Air Riders is literally the game that we know the least bit information about, because all we managed to get was the CGI trailer up in that. I mean, shoot, we have one game that we know that's probably more than likely going to be a 2026 game with Splatoon Raiders. Shoot, we got more gameplay footage in that one trailer, and they didn't give us a release date or a release year, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2026. We got more in that trailer dropped out on the Nintendo Today app than what we even did with Kirby Air Riders, though. So yeah, so hopefully Sakurai and his team, they're over there cooking and stuff like that for this new game. Now, I remember having I have Kirby Air Rider on the GameCube, and it's a fun little game and stuff like that. Hopefully they also manage to bring that game over to NSO for GameCube at some point. It'll probably be way after Kirby Air Riders for the Switch 2 manage comes out, though. But I think this game has a lot of promise, because I think a lot of people like Mario Kart World, but some people might be getting, a little stale on it, though. Might want to diversify the racing. I think this is when you have games such as like this, or games like F-Zero, stuff like that. That's where they truly get to shine, when some games don't necessarily resonate that well, or like a mainline game like a Mario Kart or something like that doesn't manage to resonate with most people. So I think a lot of people will actually get a fun little kick out of Kirby Air Riders. And I do plan on picking this mess up day one whenever they do manage to drop it, though. So I'm really looking forward to this, though. But yeah, that's just gosh, we're being fed breadcrumbs at this point in terms of new updates on anything for any of these games that should be releasing in the second half of this year, fall moving onward, though. Oh man, at some point all of our questions will be answered, though, but it's just playing this big old guessing game of the what if or he said she said kind of ordeal thing, though. So I keep it real with y'all. I'll give y'all little bits of confirmed information from time to time, though. But that's honestly all we have to go off of, though. So it's just kind of nice to hear at least something for Kirby Air Riders, because we hadn't heard anything. It's been radio silent since they first showcased off this trailer, outside of them just saying, hey, this game is coming out this year, within the last fiscal reportings and all of that stuff, though. So yeah, that was just a quick little update on Kirby Air Riders, though. But hopefully we'll get something here fairly soon, though. Maybe within the next month and a half, give or take, though. All right, so that's going to do it for that one segment, though. Now we're going to jump over to the very last thing I have to go through and talk about tonight, that being the Pokemon Legends ZA gameplay that we're managing to currently see pop up on the web, thanks to a playable demo that people are able to play at Pokemon World Championship. So, Pokemon World Championship, people go through and play the video game tournaments, the trading card stuff. I mean, shoot, there's even a tournament to play Pokemon Go and stuff. I don't even think they do Pokken tournament anymore. I remember they used to do that for a period of time, though, and a few other things here and there, though. But I think the big major draw for a lot of people is finally we're actually able to see some more footage of Pokemon Legends ZA, because I don't think that last Pokemon Presents presentation that they managed to do, I don't think that managed to, feel everybody's appetites in terms of like what they wanted to expect and see, though. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull up a little bit of footage over here. It's some footage that was captured by Austin John Plays, so there's the credit right there. But I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of this, so that way all y'all can be able to see this here on the stream, though. All right, there we go. But yeah, so I do like the fact that all of this footage right here is being shown and played on the Nintendo Switch too. So that explains for the buttery smooth frame rate that we're actually able to go through and see right now, though. And I don't know, looking at that map just now, it didn't necessarily seem like it was like really big, but I think the more and more you actually kind of go around and explore the little areas that are in each one of those little grooves that you can currently see there on that map, it may be bigger than what we're kind of thinking. I don't know. In just comparison to just thinking back to Pokemon Legends Arceus, it just kind of seems small by scale, but I don't know. It could be a little bit more elaborate. Who knows how many places that you might be able to actually go inside of versus just only staying on the outside. And then we've seen different areas where it's like, hey, you're actually able to do things on top of the roof as well. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going for this game, though. So it's just, a little bit more reassuring actually being able to see this game running in action right here, though. So from everything I was able to understand from this this demo, it's basically split up into two different sections. You have one where currently right now he's going through and playing through one segment of Lumino City where you're actually able to just do random battles with people on the battlefield and stuff like that, roaming around during the city. I think it's like during one of those night raves where it's like, hey, you got to battle all of these people at night and raise your rank up from, I think you start off on rank Z and you got to work your way all the way up to rank A. So that was like phase 1 of the demo. And then I think phase 2 of the demo is when you get to fight a Mega Evolved Pokemon, though, and I think it was Mega Absol, though. So we'll focus on the first little bit that they managed to kind of go through and showcase off, at least in this first demo, though. Now, I do like how some things did manage to stay the same from Pokemon Legends Arceus to Legends ZA, where you do have to manually confirm to evolve your Pokemon stuff. So we got some confirmation of a few different things like that. As well, though. And it's kind of interesting, though, because while you're going around and playing these things, I mean, there's two different ways how you kind of battle Pokemon. Obviously, there's like the the battles that you have against humans, and you have the wild roaming battles. If you're doing like a wild roaming battle, similar to like Pokemon Legends Arceus, not only do you have to, watch out for your Pokemon's health, but you also got to watch out for your own health. So like in Legends Arceus, it was like how you start off the battle. You just didn't want to get fainted or blown away by a random enemy encounter though. But in this game, if you happen to be playing against a wild Pokemon, especially a Mega Evolved Pokemon, you got to watch out for your partner being your Pokemon that has to do the part of the battling, and you also got to watch out for the little bit of the attacks that you can get sent directly towards yourself. So it's kind of a little bit of a chess match. Like you got to watch out for two different things and account for two different scenarios all this time though. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward just a little bit though, because they did manage to showcase off a little bit of story beats though, but not a crazy amount of story beats here and there though. I'm trying to get to a little part where they got a little bit of the battle. Here we go. So here's one of those random street battles and stuff. And I don't know. It's gonna be weird for seeing this in action, and I'm not really gonna be able to have like a really firm grasp on like whether or not I'm really gonna like this and stuff. I do like the fact how you actually get able to control your Pokemon and tell them to move one way or the other to actually dodge a Pokemon incoming attack. It kind of has like a live ATB battling system where you can't just spam the mess out of your moves though. They recharge over time and stuff like that. So I do like that. It's probably the closest that we will have to like a Pokemon anime in the actual game. So I do like the approach that they always able to bring with these Legends game, be able to bring like unique kind of battling mechanics that we're just not accustomed to seeing within the mainline games though. So yeah, so I don't know. The only thing I kind of don't like about it is the fact that you have to move your own character, and that causes your Pokemon to actually follow behind you. I kind of wish your trainer will stay stationary, at least for trainer versus trainer battles. Your trainer will stay stationary, and then use like the right stick or something, and actually control the Pokemon and send them in certain avenues or whatever though to be able to actually dodge incoming attacks. I kind of wish it was handled that way though, but I don't know. Maybe I'll actually will like it the more and more I actually go hands on with it whenever the game actually finally does manage to come out though. So yeah, so that's kind of how Pokemon battles are handled though, and at least from what I've seen in this demo though, it seems pretty cool and stuff. I do like the environments and stuff. It does seem like a lot of love and care was taken and put in this game, at least for the Switch 2 version. Won't be able to speak about what it might possibly look like for a Switch 1 version. It's kind of interesting how they didn't have no demos for that though, but obviously they do want to showcase off the best running version of this game though, because they probably want more people to buy it on Switch 2 versus Switch 1. It makes absolutely it makes a lot of sense though. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it in terms of most of the story stuff that they managed to kind of showcase off, at least in this first little demo trailer right here though. But yeah, obviously you got your berries and stuff, all of that mess manages to come back as well though. I think that's about it mostly for the first part of the demo. Then they managed to showcase off the second part where you're actually following behind a Zygarde, like, Zygarde 10% form. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool though. Oh, in terms of collecting materials and stuff like that, you're able to like bust up like little mine stuff as you're able to see on the screen right now. Very reminiscent of Pokemon Legends Arceus like that. So I do like the fact that how you're able to kind of, mine for materials and stuff like that using your Pokemon to help assist you in that. I do like the fact that how that does manage to make its grand return as well in this new game though. But yeah, so apparently there's going to be Mega Evolution Pokemon. Obviously, we knew all this was coming. The fact that this is based around Kalos and stuff like that. Where you're going to be able to battle these rogue Mega Evolutions. These are almost kind of similar to like what you would encounter within like boss encounters in like Legends Arceus, where it's like, hey, not only do you have to watch about or worry about your Pokemon's health, you also got to worry about your own health. I think this is going to be a great major improvement in comparison to what they managed to do with the combat. Whereas, remember in Legends Arceus where it's like where you have to wear down a boss and you were just running around dodging attacks and chunking balls at it, and then eventually you get to the next phase where you just get to do a semi-normal battle with your Pokemon versus the wild Pokemon, or whatever though. And whole freaking shoot, like Legends Z, I mean not Legends Z, AZ, that dude is a freak of nature, man. Like look how tall he is in comparison to Lucario. Like Lucario's like what, 4'10" or something? And you see how tall that dude is with the cane? Like, oh shoot. My goodness, man. Anyway, though. But back to what I was saying though. So with Legends ZA though, oh my gosh, like good gracious sakes alive though. I liked what they were doing within this boss encounter though. So not only are you going around dodging stuff and manage to encounter different things in terms of like the way how you have to be accustomed to battling and stuff like that though, because basically you have to go around. Not only do you have to command your Pokemon, dodge incoming attacks, attack it, and rinse, wash, and repeat, and wear down the dude's health because he has a lot of health. If you want to mega evolve your Pokemon, they drop out little tiny shards where if you have to run around with your person and collect them, but that causes your own Pokemon to mega evolve. So basically, in this little interaction, you have Mega Absol and you're battling with Mega Lucario though. And they did kind of confirm based on some of the footage and some of the people with the PR people that they were talking to, this is going to be your main way of collecting basically those mega evolution items that will cause certain Pokemon to be able to mega evolve though. So yeah, so that's really cool that we're able to see all of this stuff though. And oh my goodness, I think we managed to have some breaking news currently right now associated with Pokemon Legends ZA though. So I'm gonna keep talking about some of the footage and stuff right here though. But I think some stuff is breaking right now because Worlds is going on currently right now, and I just want to kind of make sure that I'm not missing anything though. Oh gosh, wow. Okay, yes. All right, so this is some brand new stuff. I'm gonna try to so you're getting all of this stuff live right now, and I'm gonna have to see if I can manage to pull up some of this footage because I think they managed to drop out some new trailers and stuff on the Pokemon channel and stuff. Hey, the news is coming in live. Y'all getting this stuff live. Like what the freak though? But yeah, I really like the fact that you're able to go through and do all these mega evolutions and be able to encounter all of this stuff from moment to moment and stuff like that though. And I really do like how you're able to time your moves and stuff like that. You have to be strategic in the way how you have to place and move your enemy or move your Pokemon around to be able to move around and dodge stuff as well though. But yeah, let me go ahead and see exactly what they managed to talk about and managed to showcase off in this new trailer because with Pokemon World's going on right now, I didn't expect news to break out while I'm doing this podcast live here though, but you're catching it here in a moment though. So hold up here real quick. Let me pull up the Pokemon channel here real quick, and let me see if I can get some of this because I think they might have dropped something here on their YouTube though. Let me see here. All right, yeah, I think this might be it. Yeah, I think it dropped 14 minutes ago. All right, here we go. So I got the little trailer here. Let me do my little transition here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off like that. That way I can go ahead and drag this mess around and drag the trailer over here. So I'm going to see this live in the moment. I'm going to unmute this thing so I can hear it on my side. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to have a way, or I don't currently have it set up to where y'all be able to hear the volume up on this thing though. But I basically will talk over this as they're going live with it though. So let me go ahead and turn this screen back on here. There we go. All right, so here we go. Pokemon Legends ZA. Oh, wait a gosh dang minute. Oh, so you're telling me okay, hold on here. So we got some ZA battle clubs. Oh, okay. So you got 4 different people trying to go through and battle around and be able to beat as many Pokemon as possible. That is interesting because if this is actually online battles where you're actually able to compete against other people, this is something that we didn't necessarily have within Pokemon Legends Arceus. Oh, and then when you start whipping out these mega evolutions as well, oh, that's going to be pretty cool. Wow. At least it's gonna give you at least a little bit of replay value, even once you manage to go through and beat the game. It that's the whole point of multiplayer games. It causes you to keep coming back and constantly going back and playing the game, try to get stronger, do more stuff, get more competitive and stuff like that. I do like this. And the fact that it's kind of like what? Almost like a free for all with four different people. That's pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie though. Hmm. That's crazy. All right. So, yeah, a nice little trailer right there that we managed to get for that. So I'm like, okay. So apparently, just based upon all of that, and I can guess I can go back and just put the little footage back there on repeat though. Let me see here though. But yeah, it seems like we're gonna be able to have four player battles, just free for alls, and basically whoever happens to knock out the most random wild Pokemon actually manages to win. So the fact that we do have some kind of form of online available for people to be able to go through and experience, that is really cool in and of itself though. I'm glad that's actually gonna be a thing right there though. I'm like, goodness, yes, that's really cool to be able to see that. And I'm glad. I'm kind of glad they managed to talk about this or bring it up. Like literally, this mess dropped like less than 15 minutes ago. That's how recent this news is. So I'm breaking it down live here right now, though. But yeah, um, hmm, that's really cool being able to go through and see all of that stuff, though, because that's the one thing I really liked about Legends Arceus was the unique battle styles, but it was unfortunate you weren't able to do it with nobody else. And I guess the Pokemon Company took that to heart, or at least Game Freak, ones making the game and stuff like that. I guess they took that to heart and was like, hey, we got to find at least some kind of way to take this on the go and be able to do these battles online, though. So that's really cool. Them being able to incorporate that. I wasn't necessarily expecting it. I thought, honestly, this was going to be a fully 100% just single player game experience though, but that seems to be far from the case. So I really do like the fact that they did manage to incorporate this and bring this over live and in the moment though. So that's really cool to see all of this stuff play out though. And it just kind of begs into question like what kind of other brand new mega evolutions we could possibly get or be able to manage to see be brought out on the scene though. I mean, yes, the only thing they confirmed so far was Mega Dragonite, and that was it. We didn't manage to get no other brand new megas. I thought at this point, I know they want to hold the cards kind of closer to their chest, but I was surely thinking like, hey, for sure, like we would at least manage to get at least one other mega evolution that was like a brand new one that they didn't manage to talk about before though. And some people like Mega Dragonite's design. I think it's all right. I like the Dragonair aesthetic stuff, but I just kind of wish its wings weren't necessarily on its back. I wish it was on, or not on its back, wasn't on its head. I wish it was right on their back. And I think I probably would have been more receptive to that new design change or whatever, though. But I mean, hey, it's all right. It's cool. Whatever, though. But yeah, if I have to pick one, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. While I got all y'all here, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. Please, oh please, if we had Mega Charizard Y and we had Mega Charizard X, it makes logical sense with this game being ZA and essentially being our Pokemon Z from like X and Y. We gotta get a Charizard Z up in here, like Mega Charizard Z or something like that. Like, come on, this mess doesn't write itself. I mean, yes, we're gonna have Charizard playable up in these games because of the fact there's a Mega Charizard X and Y already. We gotta get a Charizard Z. I don't know what the typing would be though, but like, come on, that'll be like the coolest thing ever. That's just the one and only wish. Since I already got Dragonite, I can't really complain about any other Mega Evolutions we might get though. But I don't know. Maybe I ought to sit down and just kind of go through all of the different megas I would like to see. Even though good and well, we probably won't get no more than like 10 brand new ones. One and then already being Dragonite, which is cool, really cool. All right, I think that's roughly about it in terms of, well, that little bit of brand new information. However, that was the only bit of new information that did manage to drop out, confirming that, yes, we are going to be able to have online battles coming as well, though, because we'll sidestep it a little bit. Because apparently the Pokemon Company also managed to put out some more information, not necessarily on Pokemon Legends ZA, but they did manage to give an update for Pokemon Champions. Remember, Champions is kind of like that Pokemon Stadium-ish like game. And I honestly was not expecting an update from this, though. But apparently they said the Pokemon Company president, Ishara, announced that Pokemon Championships will be the official software for the gaming division at the World Championships moving forward. Wait, hold a gosh dang phone right here. Let me read this again. They said Pokemon Company president Ishara announced that Pokemon Champions will be the official software for the gaming division at the World Championships moving forward. Pokemon Champions have Mega Evolutions, and that will be legal next year at the next competition. Hold up, that's a tough pill to swallow. Are they saying basically now, if this is going to be the official software for the gaming division moving forward, are they basically saying any new generation games, so like Gen 9, currently where we at right now, with Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, that's normally what they use for like VGCs, right? Are they basically saying starting next year, they're not going to use the new generation games to be able to compete in? Yes, you'll still be able to do some, battle people online and stuff. It's not like they're going to strip that from the game, though. But if you wanted to compete in Worlds, you had to dump those Pokemon you train in those games into this and then use that as a form to be able to play and battle and stuff. Oh, wow. That's something right there. So the fact that they're doing that and Mega Evolutions will be playable in Champions, oh man, it's going to be cool to see Megas coming back. That is crazy to think about right there. Like, what the actual freak? Goodness. I guess they're trying to take these competitive Pokemon battles to all new high, really. I never would have thought that they would actually do anything like that. Like, that is crazy. So yeah, so they're definitely taking Pokemon battles to the next level. That kind of goes to hope and show that I really would love to see. So that this is not going to be like a quick put them out, and it's just kind of be like a somewhat kind of spinish, offish game or whatever, though. That's going to be far from the case with them officially putting this statement out here right there. So that means this game is going to constantly get updates. It's going to be compatible with any Pokemon you take from your Gen 8, Gen 9 games, upcoming Gen 10, which will probably likely come out next year in 2026. And this game is going to have to constantly get updated time and time. It's going to be the official home of all things competitive. And I like how they're bringing and running back Megas, mostly because Legends VA is going to have that incorporated up in there, though. So yeah, so that's just really cool to see. That they did manage to actually have a trailer for this thing, though. So I guess I can put that up here for all y'all to be able to look at least for the time being, though. Let me try to get this set up here real quick. But yeah, you can see them right there, like the Pokemon Worlds and all of this stuff, though. You see all the different Pokemon and stuff that they were repping and stuff, though. Leave it to the Pokemon Company to announce some crazy announcements on the very last and final night like this, though. So yeah, no, mad props to one of my other friends in IRL. Like he managed to tweet me about this mess, and that's the reason why I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even know about this mess, though. So I managed to catch it live here on the podcast like that, though. So hey, this is breaking news. You don't manage to see this mess every single day when I go live with this show, though. But yeah, that's just crazy. So Pokemon Champions, I'm really intrigued, because if they're going to put all of this work behind it and use it for Worlds moving forward, they're going to have to really, keep this game up to snuff in terms of like the rentals, real Pokemon you're actually able to dump up in there, though. So there's some exciting stuff to possibly look at least within this one announcement right here, though. So now it really piqued my interest, at least with Pokemon Champions, though. So that's really cool seeing all of that mess right there, though. So yeah, not too bad, Pokemon Company, though. All right, I think, and let me just double check, make sure nothing else had managed to break out here on Twitter from the Pokemon Company like that, though, because I mean, they did manage to showcase off a Mega Dragonite EX confirmed for like what the Pokemon trading card games. Which, dang, that design actually looks really cool though. Did manage to showcase off a whole bunch of different cards from Megas and stuff like that though. But yeah, I don't think they managed to showcase off anything else super crazy. Yeah, I think that was it. So that was it for the breaking news. So basically, the online battles with the free for all between 4 different people and Pokemon Champions will basically be the new official software for the gaming division at World Championships moving forward, though. So not bad right there, not bad. So between all of the gameplay footage and stuff we managed to wrap up with in terms of the demo stuff for Pokemon Legends EA to now we got some online battles in a new kind of format and the update stuff with Pokemon Champions and stuff. That's not a bad way to round up the last little bit of information and news that I managed to have out here on my ZardCast podcast right here, though. But yeah, if y'all are super excited about all of this new information we managed to get from Pokemon Legends EA or the future of Pokemon Battle and stuff with Pokemon Champions, though, I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the live chat or in the comment section down below. What all do you think about all of this mess, though? Or just, at me on Twitter. I'm just curious to see what everybody's minds are currently sitting at in terms of all of this brand new information that did manage to come out of all of this stuff here within the past, 30, almost 40 minutes right now, though. But that's just crazy to think and go through and look at all of this mess, though. But yeah, I think that's going to basically do it in terms of my ZardCast podcast episode 109. Ended off on a highlight with the breaking news and stuff like that, though. But that's just really cool to see like that because it's not nothing that I always plan to have happen on the show like that. Things just happen to kind of work its way out like that. Not too bad. All right. Well, that's going to truly do it in terms of this one live episode of my ZardCast podcast episode 109, though. So if you really like this and you happen to be watching, this live in the moment or on the YouTube side, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing, though. And if you happen to be one of my audio only listeners that happen to be watching this on either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, yes, you can listen to this podcast in your car. Make sure to hit that like button and just let people know, hey, I'm just a guy that happens to like talking about video game stuff, pop culture stuff, and everything else in between, though, because, it's just fun sitting down every other, as this is a bi-weekly podcast, just going through and talking about all of the different stuff that's happening within the pop culture or in the gaming sphere related stuff, though. But yeah, that's going to basically do it in terms of my ZardCast episode 109, though. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode, that being my episode 110, I'll see y'all later.